In the streets, second chances are rare. Some people get them, but very few know what to do with them. Marvin Thomas, the muscle of the Thomas family, is standing at a crossroads. He has spent years fighting battles for respect, loyalty, and survival. But the real fight, the one that could decide his entire future, isn't against enemies with guns. It's against himself. Marvin Thomas was never the brains of the operation. He wasn't the mastermind, the strategist, or the cool voice of reason. He was the enforcer, the one who handled things with his fists when words didn't work. That was Marvin's role from the start. But Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, has shown us that there's more to Marvin than just muscle. Beneath the violence and quick temper, there's a man struggling to find peace with his choices and the pain they've caused. When we first meet Marvin, he's reckless, unpredictable, and often the cause of his own problems. His anger and poor decisions leave scars, not only on himself, but on the people he cares about most, especially his daughter Jukebox. Their relationship was broken, full of resentment, regret, and silence. Every time Marvin tried to show love, his temper got in the way. Every attempt to protect his family only seemed to push them further away. But over time, Marvin started to change, slowly, painfully, but noticeably. We saw him enter anger management classes, not because he wanted to at first, but because he had no choice. Yet those classes became more than just a punishment. They became a mirror, a way for Marvin to finally see the reflection of the man he was, and the man he could be if he learned to control himself. Through these steps, Marvin began to rebuild. He showed patience. He showed growth. He started to listen instead of just shouting. And in one of the most powerful storylines of the series, we saw the walls between him and Jukebox begin to crack. Small moments of connection, quiet words of forgiveness, and the first signs of healing gave Marvin something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. But hope in the world of Raising Kanan is fragile. Every step forward feels like it could be erased in an instant by the chaos of the streets. For Marvin, redemption is not guaranteed. It's something he has to fight for every day, against enemies outside and the darker parts of himself inside. The question that haunts him now is simple yet terrifying. Can he really escape the life that has defined him? Or is he doomed to repeat the same mistakes until they finally destroy him? This is where Season 5 begins to ask harder questions about Marvin's future. He's no longer just a background soldier. He's a man on the edge of transformation or tragedy. And in this dangerous world, survival is not just about who has the most power, but who can bear the weight of their past without letting it crush their future. Asterisk for Marvin Thomas. The real battlefield is not the streets, it's his own mind. From the outside, people see a tough man, a soldier, a fighter who can handle whatever comes his way. But inside, Marvin is at war with himself. He carries the weight of years filled with mistakes, anger, and regret. Every scar on his body tells a story, but the scars no one sees are the ones that hurt him the most. Marvin has always been defined by his temper. In earlier seasons, we saw how quickly he snapped, how easily rage clouded his judgment. That temper destroyed trust, especially with the one person he should have protected the most, his daughter, Jukebox. Their relationship was shattered by the very thing Marvin thought was strength, control through fear. But over time, Marvin started to realize that fear does not create love, and violence cannot heal broken bonds. His anger management sessions became more than just a storyline, they were his turning point. For the first time, Marvin was forced to sit still, to hear himself speak, and to reflect on what his life had become. The group therapy scenes weren't about the jokes or the awkwardness. They were about Marvin slowly learning that true strength comes from facing your flaws, not hiding them. He began to see that every outburst was not just hurting others, it was keeping him trapped in the cycle of his own pain. What makes Marvin's struggle powerful is that it's so human. He wants redemption, but he doesn't always know how to earn it. He wants to be a better father, but he fears it's too late. He wants to step out of the shadow of being just muscle, but the streets won't let him forget who he is. Redemption in the world of Raising Kanan is never clean, never easy. Every step Marvin takes forward, there's a force trying to drag him 2 steps back. And yet, we've seen glimmers of the man he could become. With Jukebox, he has shown patience, something that once felt impossible for him. Their small, fragile moments of connection reveal Marvin's deepest desire, not just to be forgiven, but to be needed. He wants to matter in her life, not as the man who caused pain, but as the man who helped her heal. That's the core of Marvin's inner struggle, balancing the man he used to be with the man he's trying to become, but the streets are not kind to men who try to change. Marvin knows that walking away from violence from the Thomas family's empire is almost impossible. Every day he risks being pulled back into the same habits, the same rage, the same destructive patterns. And while he may be learning control, he's also surrounded by chaos, rival crews, family drama, and constant danger. How long can Marvin hold on to his new sense of self before the streets force him to break again? There's also the haunting truth that Marvin's past choices may never truly leave him. His violence, his mistakes, his failures, they live inside him even as he fights to move forward. It's almost like Marvin is trying to outrun his own shadow, but no matter how far he goes, it's always right behind him. This is the weight he carries into Season 5, the fear that no matter how hard he tries, his past will always define him. Still, what makes Marvin's journey so compelling is that he keeps fighting. He doesn't give up, he doesn't surrender to the darkness. Every time he falls, he finds a way to stand again. It's messy, it's painful, and it's far from perfect, but it's real. Marvin's struggle is not just about survival, it's about transformation. And in a show built on betrayal and bloodshed, Marvin's quiet, personal war might be the most dangerous battle of all. Because here's the truth, in raising Kanan, survival isn't just about living. It's about becoming someone worth living for. And Marvin Thomas is still trying to figure out if he has what it takes to win that fight. Asterisk in Season 5 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Marvin Thomas stands at a dangerous crossroad. His personal growth and struggle for redemption are powerful, but in the world he lives in, the streets don't care about personal progress. The streets demand loyalty, action, and sacrifice. And now, Marvin's decisions hold more weight than ever. Not just for himself, but for the entire Thomas family empire. The Thomas family has always been surrounded by enemies. Rivals watch closely, waiting for weakness, and law enforcement circles like sharks smelling blood. Every wrong move, every sign of hesitation could mean the end of their business and their lives. For Marvin, the stakes couldn't be higher. He is no longer just the enforcer. His actions now could determine whether the family rises or falls. 1. Of the biggest threats Marvin faces in Season 5 is the growing number of enemies who know his weaknesses. His reputation has changed. People used to see him as reckless, violent, and easy to predict. But now, with his newfound patience and reflection, he is harder to read. That makes him both more dangerous and more vulnerable. The streets don't respect change, they exploit it. If rivals sense that Marvin is softening, they'll come after him, and by extension, after Rack and the rest of the family, inside the family itself, Marvin's role has also shifted. He is often caught between his loyalty to Rack, who built the empire, and his bond with Kanan, who represents the future. Rack is cold, calculated, and willing to sacrifice anyone for control. Kanan, on the other hand, is still finding his way. But his choices could destroy everything if not guided carefully. Marvin sits in the middle, trying to protect them both, but he knows that one wrong decision could tear the family apart. Season 5 raises the question, can Marvin become the stabilizing force the family needs, or will his past anger and mistakes resurface at the worst possible time? The Thomas empire is cracking under pressure. Betrayal is always around the corner, and every ally has the potential to become an enemy. Marvin has the chance to step up to show that he is more than just muscle, that he can be a leader. But leadership in this world often comes at a deadly price. And then there is law enforcement. The walls are closing in. Detectives and federal agents have been circling the family for years, but now their grip is tightening. The streets are talking, and whispers have a way of reaching the wrong ears. Marvin knows that if the family falls under police pressure, his name will be on the list of those to blame. His criminal past is too heavy to escape cleanly, and redemption won't save him in the eyes of the law. the most dangerous part of Marvin's situation, however, isn't the enemies outside, it's the risk of betrayal inside. In raising Kanan, trust is fragile and loyalty is often temporary. Marvin must constantly question who he can depend on. Will his attempts to change make him look weak to his family? Will his bond with Jukebox and his softer side create tension with Rack? And most of all, will someone close to him see his growth as a threat, leading to the kind of betrayal that could end his story for good? What makes these stakes so powerful is the tension between Marvin's inner growth and the brutal reality of his world. He wants peace, but peace is almost impossible when you're living in chaos. He wants to protect his family, but protecting them may mean stepping into violence again. He wants to be different, but in the streets, being different can get you killed. Season 5 is shaping Marvin into a man who must choose between two futures, one where he sacrifices himself to save the family, and another where he risks losing them by clinging to the hope of redemption. Every choice he makes, every word he speaks, every moment of hesitation, it all matters now. The Empire is fragile, and Marvin may be the one person who can either hold it together or watch it crumble in his hands. In this season, Marvin isn't just fighting for survival, he's fighting for meaning. The stakes are higher than ever, and one thing is certain, in the world of raising Kanan, nothing comes without a price. And for Marvin Thomas, the price of his choices may be everything. The future of Marvin Thomas is not just a storyline, it's a question that hangs heavy over every moment of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Unlike many characters in the series, Marvin stands at a crossroads where three paths stretch before him: redemption, sacrifice, or downfall. Each path feels possible, and each one carries a cost. The truth is, Marvin's future may already be written by the choices of his past. But will he have the strength to rewrite it before it's too late? The first possibility is redemption. For seasons, we've seen Marvin try to repair what he once broke. His fragile but growing bond with Jukebox is proof that he is capable of change. For him, redemption doesn't mean erasing the past, it means proving that the past doesn't have to define the future. Imagine Marvin stepping away from the violence, finally breaking free from the chains of the streets. Imagine him guiding Jukebox, being present in her life, showing her that family can mean more than pain. This is the future Marvin desperately wants, but it's also the hardest to hold on to. In a world built on betrayal and bloodshed, hope is often the first casualty. The second possibility is sacrifice. If Marvin cannot fully escape his past, he may still find meaning by giving everything to protect the people he loves. In many ways, sacrifice would fit his journey. He has caused harm, but perhaps the only way to truly balance the scales is through loss his own life for the safety of his family. A man who once solved problems with fists could end his story by putting himself between danger and his loved ones, proving once and for all that he is more than just muscle. In this version of his future, Marvin becomes the unsung hero, remembered not for his anger, but for his final act of love. The third possibility, and perhaps the most tragic, is downfall. Despite all his growth, Marvin's demons are never far behind. His temper, his past crimes, and the constant pull of the streets may lead him back into darkness. If Marvin falls, it won't just be his own story that ends, it could unravel everything the Thomas family has built. His failure could push Jukebox further into coldness, widen the cracks in the family empire, and remind everyone watching that in this world, no amount of growth can truly save you. A downfall for Marvin would not be sudden, it would be the slow, painful collapse of a man who tried to change but couldn't outrun the weight of his sins. Each of these futures is possible. And that's what makes Marvin's story so powerful. He is unpredictable, but he is also deeply human. His struggle mirrors the struggle of anyone who has tried to change against impossible odds. Viewers are left asking themselves, can Marvin break the cycle, or is he trapped in it forever? Season 5 will push him to his limits. Every choice he makes will echo louder than before. Every slip of temper, every act of kindness, every betrayal faced will move him closer to one of these futures. The streets won't wait for him to decide. They will force him to choose. And here lies the chilling truth. In the world of raising Kanan, futures are rarely happy. Every victory is stained with loss. Every moment of love carries the risk of heartbreak. For Marvin Thomas, the fight for redemption might end in peace, sacrifice, or tragedy. But no matter what path he takes, one thing is certain: his story will leave a mark that cannot be erased. As the season unfolds, we watch not just for the battles on the streets, but for the battle inside Marvin himself. Because in the end, his greatest enemy has never been a rival crew or the police. His greatest enemy has always been the man in the mirror. So, what is the truth about Marvin's future? The truth is that his time is running out, and the choice between redemption, sacrifice, and downfall is closer than ever. And in the ruthless world of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, the final chapter of Marvin Thomas might be his most unforgettable one yet.